The psychology of a serial killer. What drives a person to become a serial killer? Is it nature, nurture, or a combination of both? Today, we're going deep into the minds of some of the most notorious serial killers to understand what makes them tick. Stay tuned as we unravel the dark corners of the human psyche. Welcome back. Serial killers fascinate and horrify us because of their brutal actions and mysterious motives. Psychologists and criminal experts have spent decades trying to understand the factors that contribute to such extreme behaviors. Today, we'll explore three key aspects: childhood, personality traits, and triggering events. Hello and welcome. In today's video, we're going to explore a topic that's as intriguing as it is disturbing: the psychology of serial killers. What drives certain individuals to commit such chilling acts repeatedly? While the thought might send shivers down your spine, understanding these dark psychological patterns is crucial for both the criminal justice field and public awareness. Our journey into this grim abyss will cover three fundamental aspects that appear consistently in the lives and minds of many serial killers. First, we will look at their childhoods, which are often marred by abuse, neglect, and trauma. How do these early experiences shape their future actions? Next, we'll delve into the specific personality traits that many serial killers seem to share. Traits like manipulation, lack of empathy, and narcissism don't just define their interactions, they sculpt them. What makes these traits so prevalent among serial killers? Finally, we'll examine the triggering events that often precede their killing sprees. These aren't just bad days or minor setbacks. We're talking about significant life events that, combined with their skewed perceptions and dangerous traits, might push them over the edge. As we unpack these elements, we'll gain a clearer picture of the complex puzzle that forms a serial killer's mind. Our goal is to understand, not to excuse. Knowledge is power, and by understanding the darkest aspects of human behavior, we can better safeguard our society and aid those who might be headed down a similar path. So, if you're ready to dive deep into the shadows of the human psyche, keep watching as we break down these chilling realities one by one. Let's turn back the clock and look into the early years of a serial killer's life. The saying, "the child is the father of the man," rings particularly true here, as the roots of later criminal behavior often begin in childhood. Many serial killers come from backgrounds filled with instability. This can include physical, emotional, or sexual abuse, profound neglect, or severe parental dysfunction. These experiences can disrupt normal emotional development, leading to attachment disorders and a warped perception of relationships and violence. Take, for example, John Wayne Gacy, who was physically and verbally abused by his father. Gacy's father belittled him, assaulted him, and called him derogatory names, deeply affecting his self-worth and contributing to his disdain for authority and rules as he grew older. Childhood trauma isn't just about the physical scars, it's the emotional ones that deeply embed themselves. Children who grow up in such toxic environments often develop feelings of powerlessness, which they might later seek to counterbalance by exerting control in the most horrific ways imaginable. Furthermore, many of these individuals experienced early exposure to sexual content or behavior, which can profoundly affect their developing brains. This often distorts their views on sex and violence, intertwining them in dangerous ways. It's important to note, though, that not every child who experiences these hardships turns to violence. However, in the psyche of a future serial killer, these early experiences are often the first step on a very dark path. With this understanding, we can begin to see how a monster might be made, not born. Up next, we'll explore the personality traits that are often observed in serial killers and how these may dictate their horrifying choices. While traumatic childhoods lay the groundwork, it's the distinct personality traits of serial killers that often guide their later actions. These individuals typically exhibit characteristics that set them apart from the general population. Foremost among these traits are those identified in what psychologists call the dark triad: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. Each of these traits contributes in its own way to the dangerous and manipulative behaviors of serial killers. Narcissism manifests as a grandiose sense of self-importance and a craving for admiration. Serial killers with this trait often believe they are smarter and more cunning than law enforcement and the public, which drives much of their bold and risk-taking behavior. Narcissists often feel entitled to take whatever they want, including lives. They lack empathy and see others as mere objects to satisfy their desires. Next, Machiavellianism is characterized by deceitfulness, cynicism, and a willingness to manipulate others. This trait enables serial killers to blend into society, often appearing charming and trustworthy, which is how they lure their victims. Finally, psychopathy, perhaps the most sinister of the trio, involves a total absence of empathy, guilt, or remorse. Psychopaths are capable of committing heinous acts with emotional detachment, which allows them to operate without the moral constraints that govern most of society. These traits, when combined, create a volatile concoction that can lead to the extraordinarily cold-blooded behavior seen in serial killers. They can charm, deceive, and ruthlessly harm without a second thought. Understanding these traits helps us recognize potentially dangerous patterns in behavior and emphasizes the importance of early psychological intervention. Stay with us as we next explore the triggering events that can set these troubled individuals on their murderous paths. Understanding the childhood backgrounds and personality traits of serial killers sets the stage, but it's often specific triggering events that catalyze these individuals into action. These are not just bad days or typical setbacks that most people experience. They are profound crises that break the already fragile psychological state of a potential killer. Triggering events are typically significant personal failures or rejections that deeply affect the individual. For a serial killer, these events are interpreted not just as setbacks, but as existential threats to their identity and control, often reinforcing their worst impulses. One classic example is the case of David Berkowitz, also known as the Son of Sam. Berkowitz claimed his killing spree was triggered by a series of personal failures, including isolation and rejection from women, which he perceived as unbearable attacks on his self-worth. These individuals often feel they have no control over their lives, and their actions can be a misguided attempt to assert dominance and control in the most horrifying way possible. For many serial killers, these triggering events act as the final straw. They might react to these crises through a distorted lens of their dark personality traits, turning to violence as an assertion of power and a method to regain control. In addition to personal crises, some killers are triggered by external changes in their environment, such as an important figure moving away, a significant loss, or even changes in routine that they perceive as destabilizing. It's crucial to recognize that while these events can be seen as triggers, they do not justify or rationalize the criminal actions that follow. Rather, they help us understand the complex interplay of psychological factors that lead to such extreme outcomes. As we've explored the triggering events, it's clear how fragile the line can be between maintaining control and descending into chaos. Up next, we'll wrap up with a deeper discussion on what can be done to prevent these paths to violence and how society can better manage these risks. We've journeyed deep into the dark and complex world of serial killers today, uncovering the layers of psychology from their troubled childhoods to their distinct personality traits and the triggering events that often precede their crimes. While these insights may be unsettling, they are crucial for us to understand the breadth and depth of human psychology and the fragility of the mind under extreme conditions. Understanding these factors is not just about satisfying curiosity or the thrill of delving into the macabre. It's about applying this knowledge to prevent future tragedies. By recognizing early warning signs and understanding the triggers, society can intervene earlier and perhaps steer potential offenders towards help rather than harm. If today's video has opened your eyes to the complexities of criminal psychology, and you wish to see more content like this, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Your engagement helps us to keep producing in-depth content that can educate and inform. And if you think there's someone who could benefit from today's discussion, or you just want to start a conversation about the topics we covered, share this video. Let's spread knowledge and awareness together. We also invite you to comment below with your thoughts or any questions you might have. Do you know of other factors that might influence such extreme behaviors? Or perhaps you have ideas for topics you'd like us to cover in future videos. Let's keep the conversation going. Finally, if you want to dive deeper into the psychology of crime, check out our playlists and recommended videos for more intriguing content. Together, we can learn, understand, and perhaps make a difference in tackling these complex issues. Thank you for watching, and remember, understanding is the first step towards change. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next video.